Hi everyone, in this video we're going to look at tips and strategies for Kingdom Come Deliverance for hunting and fighting with the bow and arrow. So hopefully at the end of this video you can go from having your stats look like this to something like what I have right there, where I'm on level 20 and I have a wide range of options that I can do. But the question is, how do we get there? And we'll take a look at some tips and strategies as to how to do that. Now, the first question is, you may have is, how do I get a bow and arrow? Or maybe I have some arrows, but I'd like to get a bow. Well, one option, of course, and this isn't always recommended, especially if you're at a low level of stealth, or if it's a busy, crowded area like this one. Particularly in a busy, crowded area, it's not going to work. But one option is that you could sneak up behind a soldier with a bow and arrow, get in stealth mode, and then either go for the knockout or the kill, and try to take them out. Now, like I said, this doesn't always work very well, so you may want to save your game, because there may be some bad ramifications to your actions.
Stop right where you
and it just
at last. Now you'll get
might not work out very good for you. And
don't play the innocent.
Not a good scenario. So
someone, you bastard.
that may or may not work depending on how you play. And well, let's go ahead and look at some other options that are on the table as well.
Jail it is then.
You'll love it there. It's all set up specially just for the likes of you.
Okay, now we're going to look at 3 different places I found to buy bows and arrows. The first being in Talmberg, this huntsman right here. So we're going to go ahead and ride our horse over there. Now, one thing I would say is these are the 3 places I found that you can buy bows. There's a lot of other places you can buy arrows, and of course if you sell your bows that you found later in the game to a vendor, there'll be more places you can always rebuy them for the vendor at a higher price. Probably not the best option though. So here we are. We're arriving at the huntsman's spot here. And basically what we need to do is talk to him and of course get involved in the trade aspect with him. And then once you do that, there'll be a bunch of menu options, and of course a lot of different bows are available depending on how much groshing or how much money you have to spend. What you want is up to you. Some of the items you may not be able to master until you get to a higher level. So that's one thing to keep in mind there. So you might want to start out with a low level. Here's another spot. This archery master here.
Clear off. I don't want to talk to you.
Obviously, he doesn't like us because we've been a little salty. But this archery master also sells bows and some arrows too. Now, what I've done is I have saved the best for last. Well, the archery master I showed you is located in Ratai, where that bullseye is. Where the guy with the hooded outfit is where the best option is. And that's this guy right here. Now, this guy gives us
from me?
the best option for bows and arrows that you're going to find. You may have to level up to get to there, but there's some really nice arrows you can get from him that have like 150 damage. And just let me say this: if you want to level up, what you're going to want to do, and you get your guy up to a certain level with the bows, you're going to want the arrows that do the most damage. Also, you could put certain types of poison on arrows, but that can be an expensive proposition, but I'm just going to throw it out there. I experiment a little bit, but mainly you want to get the ones that do the most damage, and that's good there. Now the real question is, how do you get better at shooting? How do you get a feel for how the arrows shoot and stuff like that, and then how can you improve, how you're playing, because you'd like to be effective with what you're doing. And obviously one of the ways you could do that is to simply go to a target range and get some target practice. Maybe start out short range at first, and then if you get better at it and you make some hits, back up a little bit and try the long range stuff. Now, of course, there is a wide variety or wide range of places you can practice your arrow shooting, not just places with bullseye. You can practice pretty much anywhere you want. The arrows will stay throughout the game. Here's a spot in Ratai that if you get good, you can actually get bonus points later in the game if you're able to master this. But you might want to practice here early. Just get off to a little bit of a start. But yeah, you want to practice. You want to get a feel for how it handles, how it shoots from different ranges and stuff like that before you go out and do some real stuff. Now, another avenue of practice that you might want to consider looking at is hunting game in the woods. And if you want to make it really challenging, you can do it on the horse. Now, one thing I would caution though is if you can actually shoot your horse when you're riding on it. So try not to do that. And the arrows drop when you're shooting them forward. They don't drop as much if you're aiming it to the side. So that's a little trickier getting a feel for it. But once you establish a feel for what you're doing, it becomes pretty cool, and it opens up a range of possibilities as to what you can do in this game.
Bring it on.
Okay, so you've had some time to practice, and now you're ready for the real deal. You're ready for live combat. And the one thing you're going to notice is live combat is not like practice. You don't have all kinds of time. Oh, and by the way, you're getting hit too. So you might want to start out easy, start out with some bandits and stuff like that.
Is that all you?
One of the things you need to look out for is that yellow meter. You don't want to let it get down all the way, or you'll fire an arrow, and of course you'll take a lot of damage. So you want to fire early and often, and practice. Preferably, you can get in situations with maybe one-on-one with a soldier, where you can just narrow it down and try not to have others involved. But more importantly, try to go for that headshot if you can, although you got to let them fly quickly. One other thing, you can get involved with combat with soldiers. Try to get high quality headshots or shoulder shots, but sometimes it doesn't always have to end in death. Sometimes they will surrender. In there, you have the option for how you'd like to handle it. There are multiple options in that case. You can, sometimes you can be nice and let them go. And the reason you might want to do that is so you can improve your reputation in the game. But, how you play those situations, of course, is obviously up to you. It's your game. You play how you want. If you'd like another challenge to step up or get some more experience points, because what you need is experience points, there's always cumin camps, which are kind of like bandit camps, but they're a little more heavily armed. These cumin soldiers can be pretty tough. You may want to have a horse or something where you can get away, but try to get some shots in, and because as you get your shots in, the thing about Kingdom Come Deliverance is as you take shots, as you attack more, you get experience points, and that's how you level up. And of course, as you level up, it'll be easier to play. But you have to get that experience first. So you may want to start out with bandits before going on to humans. And you know, yeah. So you want to, practice, watch that yellow meter, and you don't have to let everybody go. Like I said earlier, some people you can just, put them down. Yeah, try to, if you're gonna fight in situations, you want to try to be in situations where you're not completely crazily outnumbered. Like this situation right here, which also leads me to my next tip. The way this game is set up, you can have a bunch of arrows that you found or gathered, but
Come on.
the thing is, you can only use like maybe packs of 2, 3, 4, 5 if you've got found arrows. Sometimes you might get lucky and get a pack of 10 or 20, which puts you at a disadvantage because you have to keep you run out of arrows in your quiver, so you need a full quiver to keep shooting arrows. So you may want to just focus on buying arrows from one of those 3 locations I showed you, preferably the Huntsman in Ratai, but there's other specific arrows that can do good. And you also, when you get into situations like this when you're outmanned, I don't have it here, but you may want to consider putting some poison or something to where if you got one shot, you could knock an opponent down, which could be very valuable in a situation like this, when you're heavily outnumbered and stuff. And yeah, that pretty much wraps up my tips on hunting and arrows. Be sure to watch the meter when you're fighting. I am, of course, going to sign out here. And yeah, I'd just like to thank you for watching, and hopefully this helped you out.
The answer to my prayers.